Hey everyone, Dave Greco here and welcome back to the channel. And today we have another episode of Drawing with Dave. And since it's October, I wanted to get into a little bit more kind of spooky creature stuff. I'm really trying to do more kind of crazy demons and creatures lately, just to expand kind of what I'm not really comfortable with. And so I think today we can do a total sketch of some character, mess with some things in Photoshop. And then on the next episode, we will tackle color and lighting. So this we'll make this into a two-parter. And before we get started, this video is sponsored by WACOM. They are a fantastic, fantastic company. And a product that I have used for the past 16, 17 years, I use the Cintiq 27-inch for all my work, and I absolutely love it. I'll have a bunch of links down below for you to check out. They have some great products, especially if you're looking to kind of start into digital drawing. More of like the 16-inch and stuff like that. Great barriers of entry for people. So, all right, let's jump into the drawing. All right, let's dive into it. Hopefully everyone's having a good October so far. Sorry I haven't gotten a video out in the past couple of weeks. Things have been a bit crazy. So today I want to try, since I finally got Photoshop 2021, which was actually kind of forced to me by Creative Cloud. I usually used the 2018 version. And then found out that they had replaced and downloaded with the 2021. But I wanted to use the symmetry tool to start off. I've actually seen this used a whole bunch of times, but I never really had a chance to use it myself. So I wanted to give it a whirl and kind of have this kind of forward-facing creature, and then we're just gonna have some fun with this. So I'm gonna use my DG main brush kind of like usual. And what's kind of great is about like a lot of creature designs is you can really go crazy with a lot of like your line, kind of how messy it gets. Like all those little wrinkles and shapes can actually be pretty interesting. And like any kind of starting sketch, I think just going fast is going to help us kind of start off, not get bogged down by too many details. Like I usually like to kind of start with some type of eye and kind of where maybe a cheekbone is. I'm not really sure. Like how much we have the head angled down. It's really kind of just playing around. And I think after we can take this and really kind of start messing around even more, kind of the angle of it. And then we'll actually go back and kind of create some designs on it that are a little more asymmetrical. So maybe these are some parts inside his mouth that are open up. Especially when you're doing designs like this, you can really go nuts with kind of like what's going on in the mouth and the teeth and everything. Yeah, if anyone has any ideas for kind of creatures they might want to see me do in the future, definitely hit me up. I'm really trying to break away and kind of get out of my comfort zone. I do so many kind of humanoid or human type characters that I think I have like a real kind of lack for kind of creature design. And that's something I think we should always focus on, is what are we missing out of our own kind of portfolio, or are we really breaking out of our comfort? And so we can have a whole bunch. Maybe he's got like 3 different eyes. Who knows? Who knows? Like I said, it's just kind of messing with it all. It's all kind of like this crazy abstraction, which is actually pretty fun. It's kind of cool to use this symmetry tool. It feels like it does a lot of work for you. Which, especially for someone that has to produce a lot of work, that's probably a good thing. You know, you're not going to have too many projects or pieces that are probably like this kind of forward facing, right? But you know, I do always like to have some type of horns, whatever they might be. I wonder if you cinch it in, does that do anything? Oh, it actually just changes that whole thing. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, so I think usually the best idea, especially for any of these sketches, is just to kind of keep the hand moving, right? And I think if we get a cool line drawing today, that'd be pretty nice. And then we can tackle some quicker ways to add some local color, shadow, and lighting to a piece on the next one. Which the next video is really, we're gonna put this out Wednesday morning. And the next one, I think it'll just be Friday. So we won't have to wait too long here. I'm a little bit behind on some videos, so we're trying to catch up. And thank you to all kind of new subscribers that have come over. Welcome to the channel. Now, if you ever want to find me painting more, I'm usually on Twitch a few times a week over at twitch.tv/DaveGrecoArt. It's a way for us to hang out, engage with a lot of the community. We do portfolio reviews, and we are going to start having our portfolio reviews here on the YouTube channel. So we are breaking out and recording portfolio reviews that we do. So even if you don't have your own portfolio reviewed, I think there's a lot of things that you can gain from it by watching somebody else's. You know, a lot of the feedback that we give is, I think sometimes can be a lot of the same points and things to look at. But people seem to learn quite a bit on every one. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So we're gonna start having getting those up on the channel. So probably every 5 portfolio reviews, there'll be a video up on here. So people can take a look at that on their leisure if they want. Yeah, we're just kind of making some crazy shapes here. I'm probably gonna cinch it in. It's almost like a little too wide right now. I'd like to have like a kind of a thinner face. I wonder if we drag this in, what this does. If I go back to drawing, does it just do it on top? Oh, that's pretty interesting. What I want to do though is take the warp tool and kind of throw it down here. Some things I kind of want to change up. That's what's pretty nice about this, is we can do a lot of different things. Let's fade this whole thing back, push it upward. And I want to make a new layer. Can you move this? I don't know if you could move it. It probably is good. Let's turn the symmetry off for now. I think that's probably all I want for the symmetry, and then we can start kind of having some more kind of free control over what we're doing. Like some of these I kind of want to change the shape of. And we're just using this on a kind of a layer on top. Yeah, there we go. And then we can kind of start messing with some additional line and start kind of fleshing out what all this actually is. So I think I want that front of the mouth to kind of come more downward down here. And this is just one of my brushes out of my brush pack, which you can always find on the Gumroad below. Like, I don't know if he's gonna have some crazy kind of pupils, or sometimes I find myself like I slow down probably too soon, and I feel like a piece always tends to get better again once I start speeding the process up. That's what's great about creatures. You can add these little kind of cracks and crevices and see what happens. Maybe these other parts right here, which is kind of like these little glowing little crevices in his head. So this would be like a horn thing that kind of comes out. I kind of like that we're painting this part separately. I think there is something nice about it still being kind of asymmetrical. It was a good way to kind of block a lot of it in, but this will work out pretty nice. I'm gonna keep my lines pretty thin here. probably should have some type of nostril. There we go. So I'm currently in the process of finally getting a iPad to paint on. So we should have, possibly could get some tutorials going on here, since I'm going to start diving into using Procreate more, which I know a lot of people use and do ask me about quite a bit. But I never really had the opportunity to use the program. So I'm super excited to kind of start painting on that. It's going to be really nice. I wonder if like we can actually add some weird bits of armor and other things onto the character. That's always kind of a plus for me. And kind of break up the edges here of where this thing kind of comes up. I think a lot of this piece will also be discovered once we start diving into the color and the light. We can really kind of figure out where the rest of this jaw is. I don't know if I want pupils in every single other little kind of what seems to be like an eye socket. That's something we can play with. Really, it's a lot of this phase has been just kind of abstract shape design. Trying to avoid certain tangents. I want the movement to seem okay and look all right. I mean, maybe there's parts of this eye that are a little too human and we could have gone a little more demon-y with, but it's okay. Like I said, this is kind of me breaking into some other stuff and seeing what works. I mean, this is like a whole collection of things that kind of come off around the backside of his skull head thing. I don't know what it is. I think we're kind of breaking up these larger shapes with these little bit of line work. And maybe for this eye, it does feel like a little bit different in a way that, like, if this one was a little more kind of, I don't know, scarred up, like this thing has like a huge slash down his face. Sometimes you gotta go with the cliche eye scar. Especially if you're just sketching and messing around. Like, it doesn't matter too much. You know, maybe there's like a idea of it that was in here before. And then we could have like a lot of that down on the side. It's kind of cut into the face here. This is one of those things where I would probably do kind of like multiple line drawings over the whole thing. Just to really kind of figure out a lot of these details, because there's a lot of kind of randomness in here that I can't even tell what is going on. And sometimes that's an interesting thing. Sometimes you can get kind of lost in it. And so it's like, even like looking at this, I wonder if there's kind of something more interesting we can kind of do with the lower part. So just having his mouth kind of like that. At first I had thought about bringing his mouth kind of really high up into here. So maybe we can kind of erase parts of this. And maybe I could actually take out part of this lower part. And really we're just going back into some kind of random shape design. Like I said, I think some of these abstract shapes can help us out for now. Kind of determining what we want to do. There's always a part that I really like spending this time in the black and white and kind of older kind of way I used to work as far as using line and line weight. You can get that feeling of feeling kind of like my old love for comic books, and that's why I like spending kind of so much time in this line phase, even if we end up painting over so much of it. This kind of phase is all about discovery and exploration of the piece. And that's pretty relaxing for me. I know everyone has their own kind of rituals on how they like to start a piece and go about it. This is the way I do it. So definitely you can always feel free to try to spend a little bit more time in line, or if you're comfortable in jumping into shape and color and value, I encourage kind of doing that as well. But for me, it's always finding parts of a piece that feels good to me as far as kind of like the weight of it all and the shape design has to just work for me. And sometimes that takes a bit of discovery for me to figure out, if he had this kind of row of teeth down here and looking into his mouth. How would that all kind of work? And I was wondering about if we give him more of a nose too, not like a human nose, but if there was more kind of some type of ridge, or maybe it just makes it more terrifying. Who knows? Okay, so we're still kind of figuring out kind of what we want to do, and I think this is a good thing to still show, is that sometimes this can take a little bit of discovery. And I almost was thinking if we had some of these type of pieces of armor or something on him that kind of break him up and then have a bit of the creature beneath poking out. Could be kind of interesting. So we can get back into some of the looser lines. And maybe it's more of kind of a closed mouth situation of kind of crazy teeth, and he's more kind of clenching, right? Yeah, that feels more interesting to me. And we'll get that kind of gums that kind of poke out underneath here. And then whatever is kind of this bottom lip. So now he's looking like a little bit more crazy. And then maybe we'll bring out some of this other kind of armor piece that's kind of poking out. With these kind of little claw things, who knows? Like I said, I think the silhouette super important. And then finding these little kind of loose shapes. I just think staying loose at the beginning is going to really help and pay off. You know, it's like, and at this stage of a piece, like you don't have to be really married to anything. Like we can scrap half this thing. If it's not working, it's not working. So never feel like you're just locked in. Like, oh, I spent 20 minutes on this. We got to just keep it going. Already putting Band-Aids. Maybe this is just one mock-up, and after, if it's not feeling right, you can just go to the next one, you know? Don't forget to do a little flip, which we hadn't done yet. I think I was gotten too, feeling too safe with the symmetry tool. But I think that maybe this can show us some other things to add onto the piece here. You know, maybe for this horn, like it looks like it would have been the same, but some parts are kind of more broken off, right? To kind of change it up from the other one. And then how these things are attached, kind of broken off from over here. That could be kind of cool. There we go. Maybe there's a whole bunch of these kind of poking through. Yeah, we can get like really heavy with some of these lines too. Really push this stuff out. You know, doing kind of sketches like this are actually pretty relaxing. You don't feel like you're super dead set on like, oh, let's go find some perfectly accurate reference on how these fingers are shaped. You know, I think that's the kind of a cool, liberating feeling about creature and monster design. You know, when you get into certain parts of anatomy, it should look, you know, pretty accurate. It should look like how muscles work, you know, or facial structure works. So you shouldn't ignore it entirely, but you have a lot more kind of rope to play with, right? Yeah, we're just playing how this all feels right here. And we can have some subtle kind of line of work about what's happening in the background, maybe with his body. But I'm not like overly concerned. And let's actually take this. I'm going to just kind of distort it a little bit. I want it to be kind of pushed over this way, I think. And then, you know, the warp tool is good too. You can kind of move it around, see what's working, flip it back. If it's not working as much this way, maybe we'll push this top part over here. You know, then who knows, maybe this whole piece can just be larger in general. I don't want the horns to get too, they're pretty tight on the sides. Which is probably not great. I think ultimately what we might want to do, if you're running into situations like that, you could just push it right off the side. Or this one is just close on it. Sorry for crazy computer sounds. Yeah, there we are. We have, I think, starting to kind of like a sketch. Like even at this stage, I might do like a cleaner line on top. And we can kind of figure out that like, oh, maybe because his face is changing a little bit. It's not so straightforward anymore. Maybe if we want to get these eyes feeling a little better, we can move these ones over here, right? Like I said, maybe there is multiple eyeballs up here. They're all watching. That could be kind of neat. And this one's more kind of just jacked up. And I think what we can get a lot more focus is when we start doing kind of some of the value and lighting, and then we can actually have some cool kind of focal points that we're shooting for here. And these can look like kind of pieces of metal on his skin. And we can go crazy. We have like bluish green skin or whatever we want to kind of play with. Wow, there's something that's nice and relaxing about this kind of abstraction and working like this. Usually this could even be the detail level if I might send thumbnails over real quick to a client, like, oh, there's a quick idea, you know, even if you just spend a little bit of time. Hopefully they'll be able to read what is even happening on this piece. It's a bit crazy, but I think all these little parts will work out pretty good. We get all these little teeth and this crazy area figured out. All right, I think that's a great way to start the piece. So Friday, we're gonna put out another video where we tackle the color and adding lighting to a piece and just kind of treat this as like a fun sketch to do, especially during the month of October. So hopefully everyone's doing really solid with their artwork lately. We're getting through the year. I know it's been a crazy year for everybody, but we're getting towards the end of October. And so we're getting there. And thank you so much for spending your time with me again today. Y'all are amazing. And we will see you in the next video.